This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Greg Morton. Let's just stop.
This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Greg Morton. It is Sunday, July 16th, 2023, and this is a weekend update from the Greenville Eastside IBD Meetup Group, as well as the Stockyard Meetup Group. And of course, this is geared toward Canslim growth stock investors. As always, educational purposes only, not recommending stocks or securities to buy or sell. As we know, all investing has substantial risk of big losses. We want to learn first and only then invest. So today we'll look at sort of a weekly and year-to-date review, the M factor, current market review, some action plan thoughts currently. EPS season is arriving, so I'll mention that real quickly, and then we will check out some charts in Market Smith. So the M factor. O'Neill teaches us we want to interpret, we want to diagnose, but we don't want to predict. We're going to do three things in order to do that in this order of priority. The action of leading stocks, even if you missed them, how are they acting? And hopefully the ones that you own in this current market environment are doing well if you entered them properly and they were true Canslim stocks. The actions of stocks owned, the percent invested in the group teaching portfolio has been growing as this uptrend has unfolded up close to 100%. And then market pulse, distribution day count, price and volume on the indexes, which is what I put in the coloring book, as well as the ride the wave plan. So looking, here are my notes from last week. So if we just start with the first line, weekly performance, NASDAQ was up a whopping 3.32%, S&P 500 2.42, NYSE 2.35, Dow you can see there, Russell 3.56, and the S&P 600 3.07. Just a strong week. Year to date, NASDAQ's up 34.8, S&P 500 17.3, Dow's only up 1.4%. And then these are just some notes I cut and paste out of Investors Business Daily. The buy sell count in the coloring book is 12 buying days, 7 selling days. All the MMTS is green. Distribution day counts are reasonable at 2 on the NASDAQ, 4 on the S&P 500, 5 on the Dow. Market school exposures at maximum of 7, power trends on, and we have a trend to net new highs in place. And when we look at the index charts, we'll just see that confirmation in the charts. And then my sort of daily notes as we walk through this past week on Monday, the markets were up on that sort of surprise news that the NASDAQ 100 is going to rebalance. That has happened before. This is not something totally new, but it's sort of rare. There's some articles on this, and I'll link them at the bottom of the page so you can go read more on that. I don't think the details are out, but the bottom line is it's going to take some money rotating out of those 7 big mega caps that have been dominating and hopefully spread it into some other growth stocks that we might happen to own. So I'll get some links for that down below. Tuesday, the indexes were sort of just so volume. I still thought it was sort of an accumulation buying day, nothing special. CPI was coming and PPI was coming. And then boom, Wednesday, we got a tame CPI number and just a massive accumulation day. And Thursday was more of the same as the PPI number, which is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, also came in tame. Friday paused. NASDAQ was down 0.18%. Again, still up 3.325 for the week. Other indexes were down. Small caps got hit harder on Friday, down 1%, but still just constructive in the context of the uptrend. Sometimes it's just helps me to review the week day by day and then sort of step back and also look at the big picture for the full week as well as for the full year. So let's hop out of here and go over to Market Smith and look at the indexes. So here's the NASDAQ on a daily basis. Weekly basis. So you can see the 3 legs down of the bear market and just a nice uptrend coming off this 3rd leg, shook out some last week holders here, paused, went sideways to create a little bit of frustration. And then we sort of had this nice uptrend. If we look at it on the daily, everything looks good. Moving average lines are in the correct order, 10, 21, 50, 200. They're all pointing up. We are now getting back. So what are we, probably 12% off the peak before that bear market started. So that is constructive and looking good. So we'll just keep an eye on that. If we look at the other ones, S&P 500, same thing. Moving average lines are in the correct order. They're moving up. We've got some separation between them. So the index is showing some strength. NYSE, same thing. Good order. Dow, you can see there, not quite as constructive, but still, at least the moving average lines are in the correct order. Russell 2000, a little bit more choppier here. Let's look at the weekly. Yeah, not quite as good as the other ones, as you can see. RS line lagging, that sort of thing. So the strength has been more in the bigger caps, but the smaller caps have been showing some strength recently. S&P 600, sort of the same. So hopefully your eye can see the difference between that and going back to the NASDAQ. So we can see where the strength is and where things have been moving. Look at the coloring book. I kind of covered this for you already. So as of Friday, we have 12 buying days, 7 selling days in the last 25-day window. That's constructive. Remember, it took us a while to get there. We were red and flipping back and forth in that column. Now we're good. Low distribution day counts, 2, 4, and there's the 5. You just have to find the last number in the column to see what the total was. Again, power trend. Wow, that's been on for a while. Look how far back that goes. Yeah, so the index doing good regard to the 21-day moving average line. We've got net new highs on the NASDAQ and the NYSE. You can see in those two columns. We have some breakouts that have been occurring. We do have Fed meeting coming up, not this week, but the following week, and we have some data coming out this week, as well as EPS season ramping up. And if we go back and take a look at the group teaching portfolio, let's see what percent invested. Yeah, that's okay. I was close. 90%, 93% on the long side, 7% on the short side. I'm not going to cover the short side this weekend. I do that in our lengthy meetings. So you can see what we own. Most of these are, 3 of them are full position, DT's full position plus, and then trying to scale in still till these two to get them closer to a full position. So let's go back over here. Oops, that was left over. Take that out. We're no longer short target. Sorry about that. But the longs have been extending, particularly trying to focus on proper add-on buy points and proper scaling into those. So current market thoughts in light of everything we just looked at, I think it's very constructive right now. That's my diagnosis as of today. Can change at 9:31 a.m. tomorrow when the bell rings, or 1 minute after the bell rings. So I'm not predicting, but again, we're seeing a good uptrend right now. Canslim buys seem to be working, and we have new Canslim names that are setting up and acting well. Look at my watch list from last weekend. As I've talked about before, Canslim's designed to pull us gently into strong markets and to push us out of bad markets. So right now, I'm definitely seeing the pull side of things, which is good after this long bad market we went through. And as always, do not chase and do not plunge. It's easy to feel the pressure and to start to want to stop to do more, but we want to stay away from that. So current diagnosis, Scott O'Neill talked about those rare times in the market where you're like a kid in the candy store. You just can't buy it all. And so it's not quite that, but it's getting real close. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of setups that you should be seeing in your weekend routine if you're doing the work that you ought to be doing. I think it's a target-rich environment, but we want to be stock snipers, not skeet shooters. So we still want to be very disciplined. So current picture for me, still go, green light, but as always, still want to proceed with caution. And now that we've sort of had this nice run up, it's not unusual to pause. Things do not go straight up. So the ones that have full positions in, just monitoring for sell signals or for add-on buy points if they continue to go up, and they're ones that I'm holding past the 20% profit goal, or maybe they're not at that goal yet. See if there's opportunity to add or scale in. A lot of times the best stock out there may be one you already own. And so you want to make sure you have concentration within the Canslim rules in the one or two great ones if you end up in those. So there's the kid in the candy store look. So it has been a little bit of that lately. So I can relate to her, and because it did switch suddenly just in the last couple weeks. So always do your weekend work and routine. That just helps a lot on the action. It's easier to pick up on the when the trend changes. You know, the market's like a battleship. It's not a speedboat that pivots on a dime. It's a more gradual turn. So if you're watching it weekend by weekend, you will pick up on that sooner. And as I've covered in my weekend routine videos, I use the Market Smith Growth 250 as well as the Growth 250, but the sub list within the Growth 250 and the Growth 250, and then all the list in the paper. I'm looking at, scouring through all of that each weekend to come up with my watch list for the week ahead. Also noticed this weekend, so this was sort of interesting. So in the top 40 industry groups, the yellow ones are software. So we have 9 out of 40. You want to know where the strength is? 9 out of 40 of the top industry groups tells us. And then the blue ones, there's another 7 that are traditional growth areas. So you got 16 out of the 40 that are in traditional growth areas. And so that's really nice. I mean, I like it. I think if you have 10 out of 40, it's a decent market environment. I like to see at least 10 or 25% of the top 40. And here we've got 16. So that was sort of nice. And I just noticed that this weekend. Looking way down the road, long-term outlook, still super optimistic. I think we're going to have a good bull market at some point. Just don't know if this is it or if it's going to be a little further out. But that's definitely the expectation after the long bear market that we had. Just no way to know when that follow through day is going to be the one, but things are shaping up nicely now. And just a reminder, EPS season is here. It's going to really ramp up for the next 4 weeks because it'll end basically mid-August for companies that are on a calendar year quarter fiscally for reporting. Of course, there's always some trickling in, but we're in the heat of it right now, starting this week. So this often is a catalyst for the markets, one way or the other. Can be bad or can be good. You want to be prepared if the catalyst is up, and experienced traders should have a set of viable gap up rules and a trading plan in place as soon as the news is out. Can't wait till the opening bell rings. Got to be studying them, and I've taught you in one of our monthly meetings how I track them and decide which ones I'm watching, and I'm looking for that reaction once the news is out, as well as the headlines that come out on that news before the market ever opens and before they start trading. And we'll look at some charts of ones this week that I think are worth watching for different reasons. Maybe some are buyable and some are leaders. I just want to see how the market reacts to them. So let's jump into the charts. Go back to Market Smith. Well, let's just look at the group teaching portfolio. So here's the stocks that are in it on a weekly basis. Double verify. That's a pretty ugly reversal there on that one. Still closed up for the week, but thought it was going to get going, but looks good. Good Canslim numbers. DT, this one formed this base on base. It just finished the flat base last weekend. Was already in this one, and then can use this breakout from a new base as an opportunity to increase, which I did. Dexcom, struggling to get traction, got a base on base. Again, still good numbers. Sales are a little bit light, but 741 million per quarter. So they're still with some big numbers. So we'll see if this one can make some progress. Has great institutional sponsorship. Fidelity Contra Funds coming back into it, so that's nice to see. Owned holdings, the running shoe stock, IPO, base here, tried to break out this week, didn't hold the pivot. Again, good Canslim numbers on that one. And then ALGM, nice breakout. Would have been, wanted to see a handle on this one, and it didn't form it. So don't have a full position size yet in the group teaching portfolio, and we have earnings coming soon. So the earnings cushion rules that you may have will kick in. And then let's look, see what I had on my watch list last weekend. So Fortinet, this one was looking good. I was already in Palo Alto and then got stopped out on my raised stops, so it was still profitable. But so I had that one up there. DT we already looked at. I mean, after last weekend, this was I don't know if those got switched. I was thinking it was top of my watch list. And then it broke out of this 6% flat base. Wow, that's really tight. That's very, very constructive. Arista Network, so setting up in a new base here, was in the New America article recently, so that's one to keep an eye on. ASML, that one, oh yeah, has earnings this week, so that's a good one to study. Keep an eye on for a viable gap up. Let's see, and that, well, those were IPOs. And then other ones to look at this weekend. Here's some with earnings, excuse me. There's some with earnings coming up. So Interactive Brokers reports this week, so has a base, broke out past this sloping trend line. Great numbers, so we'll see what it does and how it handles earnings. ASML, already mentioned, so again, just there's another 7% deep flat base. And EPS in 3 days. So definitely keep an eye on that one to see if there's a viable gap up and hopefully it doesn't gap too far. If it does go up, Tesla, don't own this one, but obviously a leader now, and how the market reacts to their news can be important. Same on Netflix, leading stock now, not in it, no way to enter it, but studying it for that reason. TSM, so they report big chip stock, and they trade $1.2 billion per day. So very active stock here. So this may have something to do with how the chip sector does. Again, doesn't have Canslim earnings and sales, so it's not on my viable gap up study list, but just watching it. And then oil and gas have started coming back. Those are so hard for me to trade. But this is set up in a cup and has Canslim numbers. So just kind of watching it, I think it's a good one to keep an eye on also. So those were some charts, things that we're interested in, and I'll see what ends up on my watch list when I finish my weekend routine this evening. Go back over here. So monthly meetings. I'll set a meeting in August. I kind of took 2 months off during the summer, so I'll get you the date. Here was our May 16th meeting, the agenda, type of things we covered. We went through the Ride the Wave plan and that template for the people that attended that meeting. I have the recordings from our prior monthly meetings because I spend a lot of time on those. You can order those. Meetings are $15 each. You can email me. So if you don't have a written set of sell rules, you really, really need that. So I spent 3 whole months teaching on that in great detail. And then did a complete weekend routine back in September of 21, which flowed over into October a little bit. And then these are just some other topics that we've covered. So you can look at the list, but if you email me, I'll send you the whole list with the order instructions. Here's the contact information. My meetup websites are the one I do with IBD, which is a Greenville Eastside IBD meetup, and that's where the coloring books link. There's a lot of things on the message board there that I'll link. Stockyard meetup site is to sign up for monthly meetings. So Sam, I'll get a date in August and get the next one set. You can email me at this email address for ordering prior information. You can follow me on Twitter, as I post mostly stock and Canslim stuff. And videos, go to the Stockyard by Greg Morton YouTube page, which you are now. And there's some prior ones on there in addition to the weekend ones. So that's it. I hope you guys have a great weekend routine, a great week, and I'm out of here.